السلام عليكم، ازيكم يا جماعة؟ يا رب تكونوا بخير. I guess here we are. We're going to talk today, as I said earlier, about professional development during the COVID-19 crisis. So this is going to be mainly the topic of today. I guess we have a lot of English language teachers everybody is suffering during the crisis. I'm not saying that only English language teachers are suffering, but again, because educational institutions, language centers, and all people working in the field of education were so heavily affected by the crisis, because again, our business is based on having a group of students in one place. So again, speaking of medical regulations, it's not easy for us to get back to normal. And I guess the first organization that were affected by the COVID-19 crisis were the language centers, the schools, and mainly teachers. Right, wonderful. However, the only exit from the crisis is through online education for now. I know it's not the favorite option by so many people, because again, a lot of people like the face-to-face interaction with teachers, and I prefer it myself. If I have the opportunity to go face-to-face with a teacher, so that would be my choice. However, let's be honest, a big part of my own professional development was done online, and I'm very proud of it. Because again, online education and studying distance is also amazing for people, not only because of the COVID-19 crisis. Like, I did my Delta Module 1 online, I did my Delta Module 3 with Cambridge University online, I did my MA with the University of Leicester online, and all of these experiences were amazing, and I really loved them so much. And I can say that online education changed my life. So I'm very happy with it. There is no problem whatsoever with online education. That's what I believe. However, what happened during this crisis is that we have to move immediately and quickly into online education, because as you see, it's the only hope now. It's the only exit. We have to. There is no choice in that. So what I would say is, in today's meeting, we're going to talk about what can we do, what we can do as teachers at home, right? In terms of things we can do without taking courses, and things that we can do also with professional courses, and how British Training Centre can help also with this and can share with experience in doing that. So that's the whole, we hope that this would be the outcome of this live video. Right, so again, let's agree on something, that for teachers to be great, they've got to have two main skills, right? Or two main things, let's say. Number one, the language needs to be wonderful, right? And number two, they need to know how to teach. So let's agree on this. For teachers to be great, they need two things. And please remember this, because this is going to change your whole career if you listen carefully to this piece of advice, because this is it. Number one, your language, because your language is your image. If your English is great in terms of speaking, reading, writing, and listening, then wonderful. A lot of organizations will say, okay, we want that man. His English is great, we want him to teach. Then, number two, if your teaching skills are amazing, then yes, that's the cash, that's the money. You're very successful when you nail these two. So remember this very well. Your language has to be wonderful, and your teaching needs to be great. If you have these two, then money will come your way. Okay, right. So, and these two parts are what I'm going to cover in this video. I'm going to talk about how you can be good in terms of language and what you can do at home to make your language better, and also what you can do in terms of teaching, right? Good, wonderful. if we're talking about language, right? Now, there are a lot of things that you can do without taking courses when you're staying at home. Okay, number one, let's talk about receptive skills, because we have two different sets of skills in English, right? We've got receptive skills and we've got productive skills. When we talk about receptive skills, we're talking about reading and listening, because this is when you receive information. Because there are two ways of receiving information, either by listening or by reading, right? Okay, good. Now, and we have productive skills. This is when we're talking about speaking and writing, because this is when you produce language. Okay, good, wonderful. So what can we do with receptive skills at home? I mean, think about it. First, reading. Reading. It's super amazing, okay, and it is great. Now, what is the main problem with reading? Because a lot of teachers, or I wouldn't say a lot, some teachers that I met over the years, they keep saying, Shady, whenever we try to read, we just start and then we stop. And sometimes we're good with it. Sometimes, we can't continue. We cannot keep it. Well, a lot of the problems that I heard from so many different people, that when they want to build a reading habit in English language, they start this the wrong way. How? Because what they do, for example, let me tell you about my own experience. The first time I wanted to read and develop myself, that was my thinking, and it was really stupid, but I'm telling you this story so that you might learn something out of it. Because I said to myself, okay, wonderful, I am going to bring Al-Ahram Weekly, okay, which is the newspaper, a political newspaper, the Egyptian one, right? And I said, okay, I'm going to read that in English so that my English becomes better. And then I didn't think about, what I love or what I hate. I mean, in reality, I hate reading the newspaper, even in Arabic. So it was so stupid to bring a newspaper in English and read it, because you already hate it in your first language. So how come that you bring it in a second language, which means that you need a bit of effort? You need a kind of a dictionary to see this difficult word or that difficult word, okay? And then so that you can understand. So that was a very wrong decision, and I really advise you against it. If you want to build a wonderful reading habit, then what you need to do is to choose something that you love doing in Arabic or in your first language, and then start doing it in English. It will be a big mistake to insist on doing something you hate in Arabic and then you say, okay, I'm going to do it in English. Well, that's not the right way. Good. So number one, if you want to develop yourself at home, choose something that you love and do it. Okay? And I'm talking here about reading. If you love reading novels in Arabic, then hey, do it in English. If you love reading religious books in Arabic, do it in English. If you love reading newspapers, do the same in English. If you love reading comics in Arabic, read them in English. So number one, choose something that you love so that motivation keeps up, right? Now this is part number one. So choose something that you like. Number two, choose something that is at your level. You know what I mean, right? And let me take you back to Al-Ahram Weekly story, because this is how I wanted to develop my own English, and it was so stupid, it was so crazy, because Al-Ahram Weekly was unbelievably difficult for me at that time. I mean, in every line there are a lot of difficult words. I even remember a Canadian friend who had a look at the newspaper and he said, Shady, this looks like a competition between Egyptian writers who would come with the most difficult words in the passage. Right? So I realized that it was even complicated for this native speaker. So what about poor Shady? So again, choose something that you love and make sure that it is at your level so that you don't feel desperate and you don't get frustrated and you don't say, oh no, I can't read. My level in reading is terrible and all that stuff, right? Okay, wonderful. So this is about this part. Now someone might say, but Shady, I mean, if you're talking about something that we love and something that is at our level, where can we find this? You know, I mean, where? I mean, what can we do? What can we read? And my advice would be graded readers. Graded readers. Now, so what are graded readers? Let me talk about this a bit. Graded readers are these novels that are rewritten, okay, for different levels. So imagine this, you've got a James Bond novel, you know, like let's say Dr. No, right, by Ian Fleming. And the reason why I gave you this example is because I love reading Bond novels. Okay, good. So Dr. No, wonderful novel by Ian Fleming. But the problem that if you bring the real novel, it's so complicated. Why? Because Ian Fleming is a descriptive writer, and you know the language is really great and elaborated. And if your level in reading is not high, you will open the novel and they say, "Oh my God, I'm not reading this," you know, because it looks so difficult. So, and then again, once you do that and you find that every second you go back to the dictionary to check a word, okay, you stop reading because you hate it. And you think that, oh my God, there is no joy in doing this. I'm not doing this anymore. And this is why what I'm advising you against. This is the beauty of graded readers, because in graded readers, they bring a novel like Dr. No, for example, and they rewrite it for 5 different levels: starter, elementary, pre-intermediate, intermediate, upper intermediate, advanced. 6 levels or something. And then this is what you do. As an English teacher, you go do a placement test online, and they are free. They are everywhere. We have even a free one at shady.blog, www.shady.blog. We've got our free placement test that you can do and see what your level is. And you can do that absolutely for no money, right? And then once you know your level, so okay, this is where I am, you know, I mean, that's my level, I'm intermediate now, or maybe I'm upper intermediate. Now, once you know, you understand, or you realize the kind of graded readers, okay, you need to start with. So you say, okay, I'm going to start with an intermediate graded reader. Once you open the novel, it's designed for your level, you know what I mean? So now there is no frustration, there is no going back to the dictionary every second, okay? Now it is amazing, it's super easy, and then you start reading. Yes, there is a bit of challenging words here and there so that you learn, but it is still doable, you enjoy it, your level gets better. And believe me, reading graded readers is like watching a Ramadan series. Like the drama we watch all the time in Ramadan, you know what I mean? But it's just written. So once you finish a chapter, you are so much excited because you want to know what's going to happen in the following chapter. Like right now, I'm reading a Bond novel called The Devil May Care, okay? And I finished a chapter. I'm so excited to see what's going to happen next. It's like a series. It's like a drama series. But just you need to get yourself into the habit of doing this. If you start reading graded novels and you love it, you know what's going to happen. Your vocabulary will be great as a teacher. Okay? Your structure will be great when you write, because you are exposed to a lot of structures in this graded novel, and these structures are unconsciously, okay, stored in your mind. Then, once you start writing, these structures that have been unconsciously stored in your mind will come down to your hands when you're writing. right? So that's also another advantage of using graded readers, right? So again, in order to sum up this part that we've just finished, then the first thing you can do at home during the COVID-19 crisis, and we don't go anywhere, like I'm talking to you from the balcony right now, because this is where I kind of have fun, or breathe some fresh air. That's what you can do. Bring your graded reader, okay? Try to organize things that you're going to finish a chapter today, chapter tomorrow. And some people, I gave them this advice, they came back to me and they said, Shady, we loved it so much, we even now finish, whole novels in one day. So I hope you get to that. So that's the first thing you can do with receptive skills, reading, okay? Graded readers. And in order to answer a question I know might be going on in some people's heads, where can we find them? Because some people may ask, but Shady, how can I find graded readers? There are a lot of free graded readers online, a lot. All what you need to do is just write graded readers on Google, Google graded readers, and you will find a lot for free, I'm sure. Okay, they're everywhere. I've checked myself so many times, right? So that's all what you need to do. And if you love buying original graded readers, then Amazon is great. If you love using Kindle for reading ebooks, then go to Amazon.com and you can buy a lot of graded readers for there. So there is the free option and there is the money option, and both are there available on the internet, right? Good, wonderful. And this is something you can do at home. Okay, cool. Right. Another thing you can do is listening. So again, we talked about reading for you, and I'm still talking about the teacher's language. And the reason why I started with the teacher's language is if you don't have good language, then it doesn't, how can I put that? You might be a wonderful teacher, but if you don't have the right language, I'm telling you, a lot of language institutions would say no. Because my experience in the business tells me that language institutions and language centers are looking for reputation. And they know that reputation is made by English teachers who speak nice English. So you have to make sure that your English sounds nice and it sounds great so that you can easily find a job and develop yourself as well, right? Good, good, good. So again, finish with reading. Let's come to listening. Now, listening is another skill, and listening also, you need to develop your listening skills. It's so important, and this is something you can do at home, right? What can we do? What can we start with as English teachers? Now, my advice would be, there are a lot of free websites on the internet where you can find a lot of tracks, even with the scripts on PDFs, and you can download all this for free and enjoy yourself. Oh, wonderful. Ashraf Al-Qadi is asking a wonderful question, which is about mixing between the skills and go for what is called hearing books or audio books. I'll come to that, Ashraf. That's also a wonderful point. How could you define nice English that appeals to reputable institution? Muhammad Ala. Okay, lovely. So quickly I will answer these questions. Ashraf Al-Qadi, and thank you so much for bringing this up, is talking about audio books. And again, audio books is amazing, Ashraf. I do agree with you. They are great. I myself use them all the time. I have an application on my mobile. I hope I can show them to you now. It is called Audible. Look at this. This is how Audible looks like. Okay. Audible is by Amazon.com, and it's for Kindle audiobooks. Let me show you this here. Let me show you my library. Look at this. My library of of audiobooks, full of Bond books. You see, the beauty of this program, that you can even have graded readers on Audible, and you can download Audible for free. It is an Amazon program for audiobooks, and audiobooks are novels that you can listen to them. Someone might ask, but Shady, are we supposed to sit at home and listen to these novels, I will tell you about my own experience and about what I do myself. And I'd say, I mean, but this is me. Maybe other people would be different. I'm not saying that everybody should react to this like me. I find it difficult to listen to audiobooks at home. I don't know. If I'm home, I would read if I have the time, but I wouldn't listen. But what I do actually is that I listen to audiobooks when I'm driving, because sometimes I go on a lot of road trips, especially when I travel from Cairo to my hometown, Dumyat, or from Dumyat back to Cairo. These are about 4 hours or something. So imagine that you have Audible with you and you connect your mobile to the car, the AUX to your car, and then you listen to audio novels all the time when you're driving. This is amazing. I can tell you that I finished a lot of novels just while driving. Imagine that. 2 trips, 6 hours of listening, a novel is over. It's amazing. It's really amazing. And I do advise you to do this. Just try it. And it's really enjoyable. It is better than listening to songs and mahraganat and all that stuff. Okay, and it does develop your English better than listening to English songs, far better, because even the way of speaking or the way the speech is read in these audiobooks is more natural than songs, because you know singers, they're either so fast or so slow, right? Good, wonderful. But again, what else can we do in order to develop our listening skills? So we talked about audiobooks. Something else that we can do. So let me just, so we said graded readers, and then thanks for Ashraf Al-Qadi, audiobooks. And then number 3, and this is also something that I believe is great, is going to websites like bbclearningenglish.com. And I have a lovely program. I love it myself. It's called 6 Minute English. And 6 Minute English is great. Why 6 Minute English is great? Because again, it is not so difficult. So it is a bit graded. And again, it's really lovely when it comes to how it is designed. So sometimes when a difficult word comes up, okay, even the speakers define it in the context so that it looks like for example, I remember listening to bbclearningenglish.com, and it was 6 Minute English, this program, and they were talking about a new word, staycation. So staycation came up in the discussion, and then someone said, oh, staycation, this is when you don't have money to go on vacation, so you stay at home. So this is what we call a staycation. So the idea, it's so lovely, again, because you're listening to this and the word staycation comes up. You don't need to go back to a dictionary to check what it means, because they actually tell you. They tell you what it means while listening. So it's wonderful. I love it. I love 6 Minute English so much. And it's something that you can listen to while you're in the kitchen, doing the cooking, while you're cleaning the house, while you're arranging something. So again, I mean, you don't have just to sit and listen. It can be played in the background when you're doing something, and it's amazing. It's really great. And again, also you can play it in your car when you're driving, going from a trip to another, an errand to another. It's wonderful. I have here Neriman. She's talking about TED Talks. Oh yeah, TED Talks are great. Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Neriman. Also, TED Talks, amazing. And also Ahmed Abdulaziz talking about TED Talks. I can't agree more. TED Talks are amazing. It's because TED Talks are designed in the form of a presentation. And usually when you present, you tend to make people understand what you say, and you stress important information. So TED Talks are different from movies. In what way? Like what I'm doing now, I'm presenting. So this means that the level of my English is less difficult than my level when I am speaking to someone else. So if you're listening to Shady while Shady is speaking to a friend, it is more difficult than listening to Shady when Shady is presenting. Because when you present, you're explaining. And when you're explaining, you're trying to make people understand. And this is why TikToks are great, because people are helping you understand what they're saying. It's like listening to Obama giving a speech and listening to Obama talking to a friend. When you listen to Obama talking to a friend, that's more difficult than listening to Obama giving a speech. Because usually when you give a speech, when you present, when you talk to people, you try to make them understand. That's why the level of presentations is less difficult than the level of movies, because in movies people are not presenting, they're talking together in conversations. And that's why a lot of the students sometimes they say, Shady, when we listen to you, we understand what you say, but when we watch movies, we don't understand. And I keep telling them it's because it's different. Because when I am in a classroom, I'm presenting, okay? It is meant to make you understand what I say. But people in movies, they don't care. They're just talking together. Your level of English has to be great to understand what they're saying. Lovely. Yeah, well, Tariq al-Nagar here is talking also. And Muhammad Ala Sayyid also, yes, you remind me of your questions. I'll answer Muhammad Ala's question and then I'll come back. Muhammad Ala is saying, Shadi, you're talking about upgrading our language, but what is the, what is the quality of good English that language centers are looking for? So let's say something. We are Arabic speakers, right? Our first language is Arabic. How can you judge that a guy from Britain is a good Arabic speaker? Well, that's the question. And the answer is, when you feel that his Arabic is so close to you, that's when. Okay? And when you feel that you can understand this Arabic clearly, you can hardly find a problem in pronunciation, that's the language that reputable places are looking for. And this is the kind of English that you need to reach. So forget about sounding like an American, sounding like a British guy, or sounding like an Australian, okay? As long as your pronunciation is correct and your structure is correct, you're fluent, that's what language centers are looking for, okay? But you don't expect a teacher to go with, excuse my French, rubbish language, and then other centers will say, yeah, welcome, we're gonna give you a job. No way, that doesn't happen in reality. Even if you have the highest teaching certificates in the world, and hear it from me, it's very difficult. Don't make your own life difficult. You have to have good English so that you can have good job. So let me sum up again what we talked about. We talked about graded novels, and we talked about audio books, and we talked also about BBC 6-Minute English as a program you listen to. Someone also might ask, but what about American English if we are more interested in American English? There is VOA, which is Voice of America. Also, I guess it is free. You can download also a lot of stuff. Ahmed Isam is talking about a channel on YouTube called Learn English with TV series. It has variety of movies. Wonderful. I mean, I would love that. I would love that as well. I learned a lot from movies. So I guess what Ahmed Isam is recommended here also is great. Because let me tell you about my story, how I try to develop my English at home. Oh no, thank Muhammad Ala, you're always welcome. Okay, well, it started by, first I realized that I need help, and this is the first step. You need to know that, you need to do something about it. So that's the first step, and this is what I realized at the very beginning. And then after that, I said, okay, I need to start one by one. So I started by listening to things like the BBC, learningenglish.com. When I felt that I became better, I started listening to presentations, things like TED Talks, presentations on YouTube and all that stuff. When I felt that This became easy for me. I said, okay, let's watch some drama. So I started with drama series, and not horror movies, not horror movies or scary movies, because in the scary movies people don't talk, they just keep screaming and running away. And also action movies, they keep shooting at each other. So if you want to develop your English, I don't advise you to go for an action movie or what you call it, a horror movie. Try to find a movie where people speak. I mean, so my choice was drama, and then I moved from drama to normal movies, and then sitcoms. After sitcoms are very difficult, situation comedies, because you need to have the culture to understand them, and you need to be an alert listener, because sometimes in order for those actors to throw a joke, they have to be very fast, because if they're a bit slow, the joke loses its meaning. And this is a challenge for the listener, especially if you're not a native speaker. So I moved also to this, and I guess the most one of the most difficult types of listening is a stand-up comedy. Because stand-up comedians also are very, very, very fast. Because again, for the same fact that they are throwing jokes, and sometimes they have to be fast so that the joke has an effect on you. Right. Okay, someone is saying it is easy for me to understand conversations, but when I listen to audios, I understand nothing. Well, this is ataf for the same reason I talked about before. It's because what are the levels of these audios? You have to choose an audio that is appropriate for your level. And again, you will keep listening to these audios for a while, then your level will become better, and then you'll be able to listen to more challenging videos. So my advice for you is don't get frustrated. Things will get better, right? Again, right. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, Ismail here is giving a good comment about the subtitle translation. Well, I do agree, Ismail. Well, I mean, let me tell you something about this, Ismail, because that's a wonderful point here. Ismail is talking about subtitles. Now, subtitles are good and bad at the same time. It depends on what your level is. And let me tell you my story with the most famous British sitcom, which is Only Fools and Horses. I really love it. Only Fools and Horses. Well, this sitcom started in the 70s. It is amazing. I mean, I love it myself, you know. You might not find it interesting at all, but I love it. I'm crazy about it. And it's about 9 seasons. I watched all of them. But the problem that it is in the Cockney accent. And the Cockney accent is, as they say, it's the accent of many uneducated people in London. Okay, that's how... you know, linguists, how many linguists say. That's what many linguists say. Right, again, at the very beginning, when I watched the first season of Only Fools and Horses, I felt like I've never learned any English in my whole life. Like, I was like, zero. I didn't understand a word. It was because their pronunciation was different. The ways they spoke was different. Everything was different from what I learned. And this is when I decided, wait a minute, I've got to have English subtitles to understand this. And then I watched the first season with English subtitles. English subtitles helped me realize the phonological processes that happen when those people speak. So, for example, they say something, that's a good house. Like, this is some Cockney English. They speak like, it's a good house. Good house. Good house means good house. But if you're not used to this, it's very difficult to understand it, especially if you're not a native speaker. You know, I mean, you need to realize what's going on. Where did the H go? Why it's a good house, not good house. And it was all like this. Oh, something like, he who dares wins. He who dares wins, which is he who dares wins. Very difficult. Then, after watching a whole season with subtitles, things after that became great. and I started understanding all the other seasons without subtitles. So yes, subtitles sometimes are distracting if your level of English is really good and you want to develop it and you don't need them. So my advice would be use them only when you feel it's very difficult for you to understand. Then later, watch again without them, right? Oh yeah, thank you. Great. Again, so we're talking here now. We talked about developing listening and developing reading at home, which is great. Right. Is there something else that we can do also to our language at home? So again, I talked about things that you can do for free. Let's talk about a bit of things that you can do for money, right? And also from home. And how can Britishy help also with this? What we do, that Cambridge University years ago came up with an amazing program called Language for Teaching. The reason why Cambridge University came up with this program is because Cambridge University, they understand that the teacher's language is very important. If you're a language teacher, then your language needs to be great. It's just, you know, there isn't much thinking in this. If you're a language teacher, then your language has to be wonderful, right? Because you're not only a normal speaker, you're teaching the lingo, then you need to be great. And this is why they came up with this wonderful course, which is Language for Teaching. And this course by Cambridge University is designed into 3 different levels. So if teachers are A1, okay, Cambridge University or Cambridge Assessment English would send them to A2 level. If they are A2, they're sent to B1. And if they're B1, they're sent to B2. So it's an amazing course where you have everything recorded on this course. All activities are recorded, and these activities, you answer the activities and correction comes to you automatically. Okay, so it's not a course on Zoom. It's a course actually on Cambridge Assessment English platform or Moodle or whatever, you name it, right? And the beauty of it, that once you finish the course, you receive your certificate from Cambridge Assessment English, which is part of Cambridge University, online. And there is also a profile created for you by Cambridge University, okay, for that course. And this profile remains under your name even after the course is over. So if you started another course with Cambridge Assessment English, like CELTES, CELP, Trainer, all these courses are accessed by the same password. And also when they're finished, the certificates are sent to the same profile. So this is a kind of something like Facebook profile, but for Cambridge Assessment English. It's an amazing course. And it is completely online. Someone might say, but what if the internet I have at home is really weak and that would be a problem doing the course? No, there is nothing like that. And this is not something to be worried about, but because as I said, the course is completely recorded with videos. So you can log in whenever you feel the time is great. So it is up to you. So there is nothing like there is this fixed time, and if you miss it because of the internet, you're not going to be able to get back to it. No. This is not going to happen, right? So there is no worries. There is no worry concerning this one. Someone is asking about teachers' languages being customized. That unfortunately impact. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, Nirmu here is raising a good point. She's just talking about, as teachers, when we are in the classroom, we have to grade our language so that our language is not so difficult for students. So what she's trying to say, that we don't have the opportunity to practice complicated structures, and this affects our language one way or another. I'd say, right, there is, somehow, yes, it happens, especially if you're just teaching one level and a low level, for example, all the time. However, if you're teaching different levels, that wouldn't affect you so much. If you feel that you're kind of stuck with a low level and this low level doesn't give you the opportunity to practice English that would satisfy you as a teacher, then do what I'm talking about and work on yourself at home, right? Because you need to keep your English as great as possible, because you don't know what the future is holding for you, right? Here Iman is saying, language for teaching, it was, oh yeah, you finished that, Iman, I'm happy. Oh, you received your certificate as well. Okay, congratulations, I didn't know that. Oh, something I forgot to tell you about language for teaching. In language for teaching course by Cambridge Assessment English, they give you, it's divided into two parts. One part is for your general English as a teacher, and the other part is for the language you use in the classroom. So it is like hitting two birds with one stone. So that's very lovely. And again, remember, I mean, having a Cambridge Assessment English certificate in your CV is amazing. I mean, like, it is great, right? Muhammad Abdul Wahab here is saying there is a big relation between active listening and speaking fluently, but the problem here is to train yourself on the most difficult. I do agree with what you're saying, Muhammad. Yes, of course. If you listen, if your listening is great, that will help you a lot with the speaking. Okay, that will help you a lot with the speaking. I remember when I used to listen a lot to the BBC learningenglish.com. Sometimes when I speak and I find myself using some of the expressions I used to listen to. It just happens like that, unconsciously, you know what I mean? Which means, and also some of the structures, I even acquired structures, grammatical structures from listening. So yes, it does help speaking. I do agree with this part. Ayat is talking, the course is language. Yeah, it is language for teachers, Ayat. 7 different courses provided by Department of the States of America. I haven't checked that's Ismail. I haven't checked that, Ismail, but it would be also amazing, right? Yeah. Good, wonderful. So again, so we talked now in how to develop yourself at home regarding receptive skills. We talked about listening, we talked about reading, and we talked about courses, and what we talked about is language for teaching by Cambridge Assessment, which is available through Britishy. So you can actually book that course through us as well, right? And it's a 120-hour course. Okay, so it's a long one. It's like 3 courses out there, because normally courses out there in the market are kind of 30-hour, right? So that's like 4 courses, because 4 multiplied by 30, that's 120 hours. Okay, thank you, Hisham, my friend. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much, my friend. Right. Okay, so that's talking about teacher's language. So we talked today about receptive skills. I don't want to take so much time, but I promise you that there will be another meeting talking about the other part, because we said that for teachers to be wonderful, they need to have 2 things. They need to have, number 1, wonderful language, number 2, good teaching skills. And we talked today about language. Oh, there are some questions here. Would you recommend a free course for teachers, or even to improve English skills? As we said more, I mean, we talked about a lot of things that you can do absolutely for free when you're at home, right? I'm not very sure about language courses that are for free for teachers out there, but I think there are a lot of free things out there in the market, okay? And we talked also about some ideas that you can do absolutely for free during this video. And if you're looking for something that you might have a certificate with it, we talked about language for teachers. Another question is, which is better for teaching English ESP? Which is better for teaching English ESP or applied linguistics? Well, again, for teaching English ESP or English for specific purposes, if I understand the question clearly, I would say, of course, you still need to understand how to teach. So you need to have the teaching skills, and you need to have the language, and you need also to have a good course book, especially if it is the first time to deal with this genre. Like if you haven't, for example, taught English for gas engineers, you haven't taught that before, then you need a good course book with a good, teacher's book, so that you can refer to this. But however, teaching is still teaching. You will use the same strategies with ESP, but there will be a problem with vocabulary, okay, especially engineering vocabulary, medical vocabulary, you name it, right? Can I teach general English and I'm still learning? This is Muhammad Hassan. Well, it depends. You're still learning what? You mean you are a student at the Faculty of Education English department? If this what you mean, I'd say if your level of English is great, then yeah, you can. What's the problem? All what you need to do is understand how you teach. Get a TEFL course, okay? Get trained and go teach. I've got a lot of wonderful candidates working for British and also for other centers, and they are university students. So there is no shame in being a university student and being a teacher at the same time, as long as you've got what it takes. Oh, thank you, Usama Shawqi. Thank you, Usama Shawqi. Long time no see as well. Thank you, Hiba. And any more question? Nariman Wahid, she's talking about which market. I mean, let's talk about Egypt. Let's talk about the Middle East, right? Good. Now, if we're talking about the Middle East, if we're talking about Egypt, yes, language centers care about good pronunciation and good language skills. I know it. Even a lot of people say, oh, we don't care about accents, we don't care about pronunciation, all what we care about is knowledge. But let me tell you something, it's not true. It's not true. Language centers do care about pronunciation because it is the image they have. It is what they are trying to sell their courses with. Okay? They want students to come to an English teacher who has good pronunciation. And this happens in Egypt, it happens in United Arab Emirates, it happens in Saudi Arabia, it happens everywhere, right? And I'm talking here about jobs, well-paid jobs that would give you nice salaries. But if we're thinking about, jobs that would give you nothing, so I mean, this is out of our thinking now, and we're not going to talk about these, right? Someone is asking me about where I teach at Britishy, and it doesn't matter what level I teach at, actually. I teach all levels, starting from students up to teachers. It depends on how much time I have, but I teach everything. But some people, there are those, rumors out there in the market that if you are a great teachers, then you don't teach low levels. And if you are good teachers, you teach only higher level. This is completely untrue. I believe it is more difficult to teach lower levels than higher levels, right? Could you please tell us how we can prepare our children and improve their level in English for free? And that's Ragab. Well, I guess, Ragab, you're an English teacher, so I believe if you want my advice, try to find a good course book for children, okay? And then bring that book along with the teacher guide and read it carefully and follow, okay, the advice given by the course book writer. And I guess you can do amazing stuff with your kid, right? Because you're already an English teacher, so you wouldn't have a problem learning this. How about Mahmoud Mukhtar is talking about, how about Market Leader? Market Leader is the love of my life. I love Market Leader. It's an amazing book for teaching business English. And I worked a lot with Market Leader before. I really, really love it. It's wonderful, and it has a case study at the very end of every module. And in this case study, there is a kind of an application of what students have learned. I love it. Iman is asking about, what's your opinion, Dr. Shady, of the advice which say the best way to learn something is to teach it? Well, I mean, yeah, I'd say, yeah, very true. I mean, very true. And I guess I did this a lot of time at different stages of my life. It does apply to a lot of things, but not everything. You know what I mean? Like, for example, not with big courses. Like, when I wanted to do my Delta with Cambridge Assessment English, of course I didn't go and teach it, because that would have been like super difficult, you know what I mean? But I did teach myself a lot of things. Like when I wanted to teach, for example, English for petroleum engineers, I taught it. I prepare, I study, and I went there and I taught it. I was really, really successful. And I was asked by petroleum companies to come over and over and over again. So I taught this to myself. And a lot of things like these. But big projects, no. I mean, so that works, but not in everything, right? Tariq, you're still asking about أقصد لو هحضر دراسات عليا أيهما أنفع. What I'm trying to say, Tariq, just try to remind me with the full question, okay? So that I can give you a good answer. For Muhammad Abdul Wahab, I believe that fluency is like physical fitness. Both of them need a lot of training for long hours. And then teachers are similar to, I'd say, yeah, I mean, if you don't practice English, it fades away. Very true. I mean, I'd say, yeah. So, and that's why we're advising teachers to work and on themselves while they're home. Muhammad Nasr, could you recommend a series as a complete course for general English? This series which you will recommend, I want it for myself to work on improving the 4 skills. There are a lot of wonderful books. I love Face to Face by Cambridge University Press. I love it so much. Also, Cutting Edge is amazing by Cambridge University Press as well. I also, there is this wonderful book. I was just trying to remember the name. It's by Oxford University. What's the name? Yes, English File by Oxford University. That's a very good one as well. But my advice for you, Muhammad, don't start from the very beginning. Like, don't go to the starter level. Just go to your level. So start from the intermediate or upper intermediate, depending on what your placement test says. There is Ismail Imran is saying, I'm sorry to ask you, Shady. I know that my question is out of the discussion. Is there any chance to attend the workshop online? I mean, the one that was supposed to happen on the 18th of April. Well, I mean, thank you for asking, Ismail. What we understand, now I'm trying to delay the decision regarding this for now for a reason, because we're hearing that the government would make a decision regarding going back to normal. I don't know how normal that would be, so we're just watching, but we expect that after the feast, there would be a lot of changes. So I'm waiting till after the feast to make this decision. But yes, if we feel that it would be so dangerous for people's lives because of the COVID-19 crisis, of course we would go online. But we're just trying to delay this decision till we're 100% sure. Someone is asking, do you recommend RP? And this is Muhammad Fadl, and the question is about received pronunciation. I love received pronunciation. I love it. But again, I mean, the most important thing that you use the accent you like. And as long as it's not a weird accent, it's something that everybody can understand, then there is no problem. But if you're talking about what I love is Shady, I love RP, receive pronunciation. But saying that I recommend it means that it is better than others. No, there is no accent that is better than others, as long as we're talking about the mainstreams. So using the American accent, the British accent, you know, Australian accent, that's okay. Canadian, yeah. Dua is asking about the TKT test and to what extent it is important for English. TKT is great. It's a certificate by Cambridge Assessment English, and it's how important it is for a teacher. It comes at the first stage of professional development. It's like the first, it's even before the TEFL or the CELTA. So TKT, okay, is 3 exams back to back, and it stands for the Teaching Knowledge Test. And it is only a test that shows that you as a teacher has got the knowledge, okay? You as the teacher have got the knowledge. So that's the TKT. How it is important, it depends on where you are now. You know what I mean? So if you did your CELTA, for example, is it very important to do your TKT? No. If you did your CELTA, then it is more important to go higher and do maybe your Delta. You know what I mean? But if you haven't done your CELTA and you're asking me about a TKT, I'll say, oh yeah, do it. Why not? Wonderful course. You see what I mean? So it depends on where you are. That's how I'm going to answer the question. So you tell me, right? Muhammad Fadl is asking, teaching kids need a special teaching talent. I wouldn't use the word talent. I would use the word training. Because I believe in training, because teachers are made, they're not born. Okay? You can bring someone who knows nothing about teaching at all, and then you train that person, and this person becomes really good. So it depends on the kind of training. So it's not a talent, it is training, but yes, it needs a special training, Muhammad. Iman, yes, I know. I mean, it would be better for me to run the workshop face-to-face, of course. However, I mean, we're just waiting to see what's gonna happen. It's you don't understand, you don't know. It's difficult to judge, you know. I mean, it's difficult to decide right now how it's gonna happen. I mean, we're just waiting. Is Train the Trainer available online? That's Rehab. Of course, yes. We have a version of Train the Trainer, and it is available online. It's a wonderful course. But the difference between Train the Trainer online and offline is the online, the face-to-face version is 5 days, 6 hours a day, 30 hours. The online version is for 8 weeks with Cambridge Assessment English as well. And yes, it is done, the online version is done through Britishy as well. The competition is unfair between NES and bilingual teachers in the Middle East. What's your advice? Abdurrahman, yes. Well, I mean, I do agree, Abdurrahman, of course. There is a lot of racism between native speakers and non-native speakers. I do agree with what you say. And this because I call it racism. And there is a lot of discrimination against non-native teachers. And imagine this discrimination is coming from non-natives, not native speakers. So, for example, in many Arab countries, the British Council, which is a very respected organization, does not have any kind of racism between, you know, native teachers and non-natives. And they hire both. However, you may find non-native, without naming places, that are very unfair in the hiring process. That they have a wonderful non-native speaker with wonderful certificates, wonderful pronunciation, and then another native is, and the problem that they are unfair. They give the job to the native speakers, not to the non-native, just because of the origin. Or so I do agree that this happens. How do you overcome this? Is by becoming better and better. That's my advice. Study harder, okay, master your language, get more certificate. When you are academically very, very, very strong, you'll be standing on very firm ground, and language institutions will be running after you, asking for you to take the job. That's my advice, right? Where can I get Market Leader book? I know that Market Leader is by Longman. So again, my advice is try to search the internet, and I guess you will have a lot of answers on where you can get copies of Longman Market Leader. Any more questions? Thank you, Ahmed Shaban. Thank you, man. Could you tell us some about new online CELTA? Oh yeah, where and how to register? A lot of teachers asked about its details. Thanks in advance. Okay, well, I mean, during the COVID-19 crisis, Cambridge University made a decision that you can do the whole CELTA online. Usually the online version in the past is still there. It's still, the option is there. It used to be, you know, you do the work, you do the workshops and all that stuff online, but when it comes to teaching practice, it's face to face. Now there is a fully online CELTA about when to where to register. Then I need to go back and check and come back with an answer on this one. So nowadays I'm running in a duqi, so the schedule has been set for 2020. However, I would ask also people running the CELTA program there about the fully online option, whether it is available there or not, and come back with an answer, I promise. Do you recommend Collins series for teaching IELTS? I haven't tried them myself. I heard a lot about them, but I haven't tried, so I guess I'm in no place to answer this question. Okay, we're back. I'm sorry, I guess some internet problem. So as I said, I haven't seen the Collins series, so my advice would be check them yourself and see. I mean, and you tell me. I haven't tried these, so I can't give an answer to this one. What about the new 100? Yeah, I mean, Ahmed, I guess I've already answered this question. We have Ragab Foda is asked, Shady, you promised to go on recording your episodes on YouTube. Are you going to go on or stop these episodes? Oh, Ragab, yeah, I will continue them, inshallah. The reason why I stopped is that I'm busy with a project right now. I'm trying to finish. So it's always a problem of time. But once I finish it, I do promise that I'm going to continue these episodes. I know I did classroom management on YouTube. I do promise I'm going to continue this, inshallah. What's the difference between CELTA and CELTES? That's dua. Well, CELTA, the A at the very end of CELTA is for adults. The S at the very end of CELTES is for secondary. So CELTA is for teaching adults, people who are 19, 20 and more, students who are 19, 20 or more. But CELTES is for prep school students and secondary school students. So that's the main difference. It's a difference in the age of students. Also, there is CELTA is finished in 1 month. CELTES is finished in 9 months, right? Muhammad Aziz, I'm waiting for your surprise to students of Faculty of Arts English Department. Okay, wonderful, and I do keep my promises, no worries. Yeah, it's Longman Pearson Mukhtar. We have here another question. Do you give Delta Module 1 course in British? What do you mean in British? I do teach Delta Module 1, yeah, I do. But I don't understand what you mean with in Britishy. Oh yeah, I do. We do it at Britishy, if that's what you mean. Right. Thank you for this live. Thank you so much. Another question, Muhammad Aziz. What's your advice to students, Faculty of Arts, English Department to be teachers? First, your language. Make sure that your language is great. Second, do your TEFL course immediately. Okay, right? Just cut this long way, because don't waste time, because I wasted a lot of time. When I graduated from the Faculty of Education English department, I kept wasting time for 9 years. And I don't advise you to do the same. So my advice is go directly, make sure that your language is super duper, great language, and then do your TEFL, learn how to teach, right? Muhammad said, are you going to be delivering upcoming Delta Module 1 courses soon enough? Well, currently I'm handling a Delta course, Delta Module 1 course. We're going to restart after Al-Eid, inshallah, after the feast. And starting a new one, yes, there is a plan for starting a new one very soon. And very soon we'll be releasing the whole 2020 Delta Module 1 schedule, inshallah. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope I answered all your questions. It was lovely being with you. And as I said, I talked today about one side, which is teacher's language. Next time we'll be talking about teaching skills. Thank you so much. See you. Bye-bye.